on, Rodders? In today's discussion video, we're going to talk about the biggest lies told about strike indicators and why I use strike indicators. I'd probably say 70% of the time I'm using a strike indicator. Why? And it's nothing against any other kind of tight lining. And we're going to give a view from another tight liner channel that's just about tight lining. We're going to give his point of view on it. And we're going to just talk about some of the big misleading things they tell you about strike indicators. As you know, the last video I posted got a lot of comments. And then there's going to be, so the first most common comment that I got on my last video I'm going to discuss right now about strike indicators is that strike indicators is an old man's way of thinking. First of all, that is the worst or the most bullcrap thing that they could tell you. I'm telling you this because I have been around for a long time. I have 44 years of fly fishing. 43, 44. I have 43 years of fly fishing, 44 years of tying. I tied for a whole year before I even got a rod and fly rod in my hand. I just fished my flies off of a regular rod, mostly streamers, and fished them off a bait rod. A lot of success. You're nymphing them. That's how I learned to bait fish, is hold that rod up, no slack. Anyway, that being said, that's what you should do with it a lot if you can. If you're not casting a long distance in your short creeks and you're fishing with strike indicator, is always keep that fly line off the water if you can. It's a good idea to do. Keep that fly line tight. But anyway, the first thing they tell you is the old way of fly fishing. I don't use a strike indicator 80% of my time. I always tight lined. I never used a strike indicator until not too long ago. And where I started using one is when I started getting to bigger water. I always fish small water. I fished white deer, and I fished Penn's Creek. With Penn's Creek, is you can only not Penn's Creek, Spruce Run. You can literally step over the water. So we did tight line there. Well, yeah, I guess we kind of did. One of the things we used to do is flick crickets. Step back and flick crickets into the water. Live crickets from a pet store. But there's a bait idea if you like to bait fish with a fly rod. But so the strike indicator is new. Strike indicator's only been around, at least for my world. I don't know. They could use them for years. I just recently got one. And instantly I used a strike indicator and I started catching fish in bigger water. I don't know how the heck. I didn't fish much bigger water, so I look like people when I went out to like Penn's Creek, where you have to like use a strike indicator. The water's deep and it's slow and it's far across. The river's real wide. I couldn't do it. I just wouldn't catch any on nymphs. I just dry flied them. And the reason being is you have to have a strike indicator in these fishing. I don't think either one is more deadly. They tell you that non-strike indicator is more deadly. That's a lie. That depends on where you're at. And I'll show you one of the big reasons why I particularly like using strike indicators is I'm going to show you a clip here of a lively legs. They're just urine nymphing and the fish they caught.
TRACYS in the church, she's shining like the sun. Girls got the rig tight, feel the drag. We're far fishing high, wave the pirate flag. Cameras roll, the chat's alive. We're burning green and feeling the vibe. Time to fly, twist that thread. sky, those lines flying right. Raise your glass, light your flame, let the rivers roar. Riff will blaze forevermore. Feel the dreams and power core.
Okay, that's the fish they caught. You notice they're all like, compared to the ones I'm about to show you on one of my fishing videos in a place called the Flats. It's like you can only wade 4 feet, I think, in this spot, and it's over your waders. So like you're only 4 feet from the bank. So it's impossible, and it's like really deep. Like there's no way. It's literally impossible. You can go up and there's a section up in the rapids and people urinate up in that. That's deadly up there. I would highly recommend you urinate up in there. I still strike indicator fish it with a lot of luck, but that's a good place to urinate. But the Flats is impossible. And look at the size of fish I catch in the Flats with strike indicator where you can't urinate.
Sun dips low and the water's green. Cold sweats in my faded jeans. Roll it slow, let the smoke unwind while I explain the perfect nymph line. Chat says, bro, you're slipping again. I say, nah, just matching the current's bend. Chill riverside high, no need to hurry. Just me, my rod, and a cloudy story. Sip it slow, tie and not just right. Fish don't bite when you're stressing tight. Showed him how to cast without a splash, then forgot which lure I used last. Was it olive or that pink thing? Viewer laughs, man, you're baked again. But hey, the mayflies don't care if my thoughts float somewhere in thin air. Chill riverside high, no need to hurry. Just me, my rod, and a cloudy story. Sip it slow, tie and not just right. Fish don't bite when you're stressing tight.
Alright, so you guys seen the fight, you seen the big fish. That's why I strike in a lot of water I fish is big water with a lot of big fish, and you can't strike or you can't urinate it. And I have never seen I'm challenged, you could show me one, but I have never seen a urinifing video where they caught big fish. It's always little water, little creeks, little fish. But so that's two of the lies. Now we're gonna go back to the morons that brought you urinifing doing a dry fly hatch, them great people at Orvis, and debunk one of their lies. I'm going to show you right now.
And your fly stays close to the bottom, or lower in the water column for longer, right? Because with an indicator, it kind of, there's just that one moment that maybe that long,
correct,
where the fly's at the right speed and depth, and then it gets sucked away.
Exactly. And the other.
Okay, so you see how they said that the strike indicator pulls the flies off the bottom? I can debunk this line, and I want you all who are watching this, even if you're egregious watching this and yelling and screaming at me, stop and use your brain. Have you ever strike indicator fished? Have you ever got caught on the bottom? It kind of seemed a little impossible if that was true, wouldn't it? If your flies were always getting pulled out of the strike zone by the strike indicator, you would never be on the bottom. You'd always be straight out, or whatever the hell kind of concoction. So looking at that diagram, it looks like the strike indicator pulled them flies right to the surface. I have never heard of such malarkey in my world, in my life. That was the most, guys, people are, wow. Use your brains. Can't believe people didn't watch that and write comments and say, wow. I can't believe you just said that. All right, so anyway. And here's another way I know. If you ever did any strike indicator fishing, a lot of you guys, a lot of people new watching this, didn't. That's the problem, is they only teach them one thing, and they're like, "Whoa, look at the range, everybody! I want to learn this." When it's not really where you should be doing that particular water you're learning. So you're gonna make sure that you're. All I'm saying is that strike indicator has its place, and tight line has its place, and this is just some of the lies. So now I'm going to throw you this clip in here I found in my research. That's just complete nonsense. This guy tells you how urine nymphing is complete organic, matching the hatch.
The other thing I want you to understand when it comes to like raw, match the hatch, organic, you know, just raw fly fishing is when I take this nymph and I put it on the bottom and I bring it from the bottom up when I pull tension to it, and we'll detail this out later, don't freak out if you're not following me yet, but I can show that trout, that nymph coming from the bottom. That's the most raw and real presentation you can get in fly fishing.
All right, I never heard of more stupid comment on any video in my entire life. That was the dumbest thing. Organic, matching the hatch. You're matching the hatch by keeping the urine. No. Let me tell you what a thing that I could outfish this guy, and all these people that are guys like, oh God, oh you got, how you gonna, he's gonna send you to. I'll tell you what thing I've learned over my years that probably a lot of the competitor fly fishermen and a lot of people don't know. I'm gonna teach it to you right here. It's a pro trick. On your strike indicator, right? Okay, fishing, and you think you go to the fish and you're having that little luck, but you know the fish are there, and you want to try and induce a fly at this. Keeping it on the bottom is not the key. The key is, remember I said you keep all that line, right, off the water. When you come into the fish where you think the fish is, just kind of pull slowly. Don't have to fast. If you're in slow water, develop your swing there, okay? But anyway, you want to just kind of pull slowly on your fly line, real slow, and that'll move that fly just a little bit. It's just bob a little bit, it'll move it up off the water, and when that action happens, you'll get a strike. Just right when you get to the fish, just tighten that line up a little bit and move it up, or just tighten it so that the line stop moving, and it'll move that fly right up to the surface, and you can avoid this. That's more deadly than what keeping it on the bottom. I don't understand the guy he's talking about with a fly moving, and this is how, I don't know. That was ridiculous. Hey, and so here's the next clip is, we're going to show you that they say the strike indicator, it makes a big splash and scares the trout. Okay, if you're near water where the big strike indicator might scare your trout, you can use a New Zealand strike indicator, which I'll show a picture of right here. Okay, that was a New Zealand strike indicator. Okay, and these big things that they say that scare the fish.
One of the disadvantages of having a typical suspension type strike indicator is surface disturbance on the water. When you go to make a cast and that indicator hits, it's going to make a big splat. If that lands anywhere near a fish, there's a good chance it's going to spook it.
I've had the fish try to eat my strike indicator, my thingamabobber. I mean, not like this. This guy must have went out and bought the biggest strike indicator he possibly could have found, and when he purposely, when you see how that thing hits the water, that's a purposeful cast. I've never seen a strike indicator hit the water like that and bounce back out. Never in my life have I ever seen a strike indicator hit like that, or anybody use a strike indicator this big. I mean, what are you sticking under this? 20 million stoneflies? I mean, really, what's rubbish. Alright, so I showed you, here's another guy explaining to you the big water strike indicator thing and why he uses a strike indicator most of the time, just like me.
Nymphing. Euro nymphing and indicator nymphing. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've seen me throw an indicator nymph quite a bit. And what that looks like is your indicator here, a leader, one nymph here, and today I'm throwing a pheasant tail, another leader here to your bottom nymph, and I'm throwing a stonefly. If the water's really slow like it is today, you shouldn't need any split shot, especially today I'm using a really heavy bottom fly. But if the water's a little bit faster and you find that your flies are kind of on an angle, then you're gonna wanna throw some split shot. And when you put those is nymph, you can put a split shot right here, other nymph, and if the water's really fast, you might need a second split shot up here. But today, it's really slow, no need for split shot. I like indicator nymphing for a few different reasons. Number one, if you're fishing a really wide river like this, you can cast an indicator nymph really, really far and cover a lot of water, which personally I like to do.
All right, so here's the video that I promised you. And I want you to pay attention when I show you this clip. I point to it with the mouse. The name of the channel is Tight Lining. And he is going to put it better than I ever could. And it's a channel dedicated to tight lining. So, let's listen to what he has to say about the strike indicator. And I'm going to show you the fish size difference of the one he catches. The first one he catches in the video is the one you're nymphing. And the second one is on a strike indicator. And I'm going to have him explain to you why the strike indicator, okay? On the tight lining channel.
Alrighty, so we're hooked up with probably our 7th or 8th fish of the day, but I didn't have the camera on. I rarely put anything on film if the camera isn't on, but I figured since it was a little bit better fish, we'd throw it on real quick. And by better, you know, just better than average for this river. If you want to have success fishing with an indicator on a Euro system, is just focusing on fishing the Indy, if you will. So, you know, staying tight, picking up your slack, managing your line, and basically, you know, staying tight and in line. Ooh, that's a nice fish. That is a nice fish. This is one that you want to land. You know, nobody loses sweat over or sleep over losing some of the smaller guys, but this guy's alligator rolling and not happy. So, you knew what you were doing. Oh, there we go. That's a good fish. That is a good winter fish. Holy smokes. We're gonna take a moment to get this guy on film for you. That's a quality fish right there. Alrighty, there he goes. Alrighty, so pretty quick order here. We got 3 fish out of this hole. The first one really wasn't on camera for the hook set, but the second 2 were. And with that being said, that indicator fishing in the winter is just super effective. Now, don't get me wrong, you can absolutely utilize it other times of the year. I just think that it tends to shine a little bit when it comes to these slow wintering holes, thus you can get those clean, effective drifts. And truth be told, I would not have caught either or any of those 3 fish, but specifically the last 2, if it weren't for using that indicator. So, you know, just knowing your situations, what makes it a good spot to kind of utilize it, I think that's important. And I think credit where credit is due is important. So if you're not listening to the Trout Bitten podcast, you really need to give that a shot. I've listened to every single episode from Dom ever since they started. Just a really beautiful project. I mean, all the stuff he's done for that website is incredible. But the moral of the story is that one of those podcast episodes, what he did is he was talking about the Indy and how he utilizes it. And as somebody that when I first started Euro nymphing, I never, and I do mean 0% of the time, ever use an indicator. I was listening to that podcast, he mentioned the use of it, and as soon as he mentioned the percent that he used it, I was just floored. I believe it was 30 or 40% of the time, I want to say it was 40% of the time he uses an indicator. And that, as somebody that just never used one, it really made me question, am I doing things correctly? And you know, those fish don't occur today. That's 3 of my 10 fish, so roughly 30% of my production today would not have occurred without that indicator. And as a matter of fact, without blabbering on too much here, we did that yesterday on a guide trip. We had caught roughly, I don't know, 4 or 5 fish in the day, and we were Euro nymphing and things were going well. We throw on an indicator at a hole that just called for it, and next thing you know, we caught 5 fish out of that hole that I just don't think we would have if we were just traditionally Euro nymphing. So be versatile, be mindful of the situations, and adapt. And if you do that, you're gonna have success on the water.
So in my conclusion, there's a lot of lies made up about strike indicators. Do I think it's the best way of fishing? No. Do I think it's my favorite? Hell no. My favorite is matching the hatch and dry fly fishing. Because I can take a rookie person out on the water, teach him to roll cast in an hour, and take him out doing a hatch, trade the flake fly on it, coat it up with wet and dry on the same time, and I can have them catching fish 2 hours. Unless you do that with your nymphing that they say I'm not doing right, or your strike indicator is even rough. I wouldn't recommend that fly fishing, and I didn't do it with Tracy. And the first biggest fish she caught was on a blue quill. It was a size 18, a little teeny dry fly that she picked out of her box herself and tied on herself and caught a big brown trout. And I'm going to throw you that video here.
That's not only, that is a very you're gonna have to get him back up towards me. He's running because he sees me coming with the net. Holy crap. Wow. I don't even know if I want to do that. Keep them on. There you go. There you go. Oh my gosh. That is probably going to be one of the biggest trout you ever catch on a fly rod. Wow.
Okay, that was the first trout she caught. I didn't teach her to Euro nymph because I didn't want to have to figure out it was complicated, get her a new rod. I had a rod laying around that was a weight 4. Oh no, it was actually a weight 5, 9-foot weight 5. So if everybody says, oh, the beginner rod is a 9-foot weight 5, and then you get that beginner and then you take him out in the water and show him Euro nymph, and he's going to be confused. Why did you tell him to buy the 9-foot weight 5 if the best way to teach you was Euro nymphing? I don't know. But anyway, they make no sense. But thank you for watching this video on the biggest lies told about strike indicator fishing. Keep them up. I want to keep the discussion going. I got one. I think I'm going to do one about tippet rings and other stuff and more other topics. Okay, so make sure you like and subscribe and comment and like. I love the comments, even if they're bad. I have a lot of fun debating these topics with people, so make sure you comment. All right, you guys have a good day. Peace. Thank you for watching our videos. Click the ones up in there, man. Check them out. See you guys later. Have a lot of fun. Woo, it's pouring down rain here. I ain't gonna be fishing for a while. See you all later. Have a good one.